I placed Ngũgĩ into the neural theater of memory as a neurosurgeon of a colonized mind, one who did not wield the scalpel of steel, but a pen honed in fire, slicing through illusions and stitching together ruptured dreams. Yesterday was a nightmare etched in silence, where tongues were sliced and truth buried beneath the rubble of reason. We wept through strange teeth, watching genocide parade as policy, greed wrapped in gospel, corruption seated on thrones in parliaments of pain. But Ngũgĩ was no mere writer, he was a neurosurgeon of the colonized mind, a healer of thoughts, nerve, and soul sinew. With every word, he cut through the scar tissue of amnesia, searched language to dignity, and stitched memory back into the cortex of our becoming. He loathed the violence masquerading as order, loathed the slow genocide of cultural erasure disguised as development. He whispers to us across synaptic winds, decolonize the mind or be occupied forever. But today, hope smiles with sunbeams, gentle as forgiveness, defiant as revolution, spinning like a child's dream in Gaza's ashes. The sun waits poised to cast ancestral shadow on those who build empires from bones, on those who mind forgetting and sell it as peace. And we, the children of ink and iron, carry his diagnosis in our marrow. We speak where silence was coded. We dream where borders were burnt. We remember what they dismembered. We break language into defiance. Yesterday was horror, but today is a rehearsal for resurrection, a moonlit smile that refuses to forget.
You heard there the voice of Pitika Ntuli, the South African poet, sculptor, man of letters, product and academician and critical thinker, a man who has lived much of his life in exile, now back in South Africa, from where he joins us via Zoom for this moment to commemorate the life of the late and great Ngũgĩ wa Thiong'o. Say good morning to you, Pitika.
Good morning to you and to all lovely Ghanaians with memories of your contribution to Africa's liberation.
Thank you so much, Pitika, and for your patience hanging on the line a little bit. So you are partly the product of exile. Your fantastic art, you are a renowned sculptor in your own right, comes out of that history of struggle against apartheid and long years of exile. Ngũgĩ also famously exiled for reasons of language. Do you remember how you met? You were close friends.
We were close friends with Ngũgĩ for over 50 years. And the last time we spoke was the day before he died. We were speaking about twice or thrice a week, me from South Africa, he in California. We met up in the 70s. He, a victim of Daniel Arap Moi, me, the victim of apartheid. And then we collaborated. We worked also very closely with somebody that many of the listeners will also know, Kwesi Owusu. Vico, Mensa, Nino, T, Nikwate, Owo. These were the people we were with in London, operating mostly around Africa Center. The very Nana Mensa, there. So we came a long way, and he has been in and out of South Africa, here a number of times. And each time he is around here, we also spent a lot of time together.
Now, you're known primarily, perhaps, internationally as an artist. Your fantastic sculptures in mixed media, metal particularly. But you are also a poet, and you have an intense interest in language. How did you connect with those ideas that Ngũgĩ helped spread? In his famous words, you can master 100 different languages, but if you don't have your own mother tongue, you have no power. But master your own tongue and other languages, and that is real empowerment. How did the language thing connect you?
But before I even go in there, earlier this year, the Tshwane University of Languages here in South Africa conferred a doctorate of language practice, on on me.
Mm-hmm.
I recite and sometimes write poems in a number of our languages. That is exactly Ngũgĩ's mission, upon me to translate my languages, my poems into about the 7 languages I kind of understand. So we just realized that once you take a person's tongue, you are taking their culture, you are taking their being, you are taking their spirit, and then you cease to become a human being. So Ngũgĩ, understood it very well. I think what interested him, mostly, was an example I normally make, is that in my language, or if in Sepedi language, when you listen to the language carefully, you add up to 4. But 5, 6, 7, the names, the words that are there are symbolic. You are symbolizing. And when you get to 8 and 9, you are subtracting. 10, you resolve. It is in there. People who have been teaching language in schools for 40 years still do not actually grasp that subtlety of language. But maybe I should make a more profound one, which I had even put into a poem. The last time when we spoke to Ngũgĩ, last week, he laughed at me. He says to me, I thought you were a very educated guy who understood language, and you just don't. I said, where are you up to? He says to me, spell imperialism. I said, I-M-P-E. When I got to E, he said, stop. Mm-hmm. There should be no E in imperialism. There should be an I. And it immediately struck on me that once you put an I on that thing, it means imp, it means war. Therefore, imperialism, that means the real war that we have actually been fighting. A single syllable, from Ngũgĩ, is the philosophy in writing, is the philosophy in thought. It throws up a hope for us African, people to go back to our own roots and discover who we really are. And we can only do that from the depth and the marrow and the spleen of our languages.
Now, Pitika, this conversation has been far too short. We hope we'll be able to continue it on another occasion because your memories of the man are something that we really want to share with our listeners. But in a word, what will you miss him most for?
I miss him most for laughter, for the contribution that he has made. He's so highly adored in South Africa. As soon as his news actually came, I could not even cope with my phone because people knew, how he was. I remember him mostly because we can talk about him as a great person. Me, I like him as a person. When he came to here, wherever we are, wherever there are children, then he ceases to become a guest of honor. He's going to be there amongst the children, and he'll be talking about the children, encourage him to do. That's one thing I remember, more than that. And the second one, finally, was we were walking once near a junkyard with him, and I saw a twisted metal piece. I picked it up for my sculpture, and he was laughing at me. He was saying to me, hey, you must be very stupid collecting this British rubbish. You must be mad. Then I said to him, if I'm mad, then I do not want to be, to be cured. And now we're having a big exhibition coming in August. Right. And we are dedicating, it's called Junkyard Dogs. And we are dedicating that, major exhibition to Ngũgĩ wa Thiong'o.
Fantastic, Pitika. Thank you so much for sharing those memories of Ngũgĩ wa Thiong'o, your late great friend, and we hope to continue the conversation on another occasion. You heard there from Pitika Ntuli, the sculptor and poet and academician, speaking from Joburg.
Well, that's how we end the show. All together we say bye.
Bye.
See you tomorrow.
Oh. Accra 99.5, Cape Coast on 100.